The Destiny 2 Civil War is the name of this video. All right, let's see what's going on here. We love a good civil war in here in the Destiny 2 world.
Now that Destiny is kind of being torn down and players are leaving and stuff, it's kind of obvious what ruined Destiny right now and what they need to do to make the game better. So if you don't know, right now there is a civil war in the Destiny community. I'm talking straight out Marvel Civil War, Iron Man versus Captain America type Civil War.
Oh shit, who's the war? Is it the content creators versus the community?
I didn't know there was such a segregation, division in the Destiny community, and it's been here this whole time at surface value if you just dig deep enough. So there's two groups. You got the quote unquote 1%er group, and then you have the casual group, right?
The 1%ers versus the casuals embark in a civil war. Good. Who will win?
A quote unquote 1% group, because that's what the casuals call the 1%ers, but I'll get to that. So the casual players in Destiny, they done had this little secret code of theirs where they believe the game need to be easier so we can experience the extra content in the game, and they believe that Bungie only caters to the quote unquote 1%ers, aka the people that get to do raid and dungeons. And it was very interesting to dig into their culture and learn more about them in the Twitter space and the Reddit space and stuff.
He dug on Reddit? Oh shit, this is going downhill really fast. No, he found Reddit, the casuals on Reddit. This is going to be crazy.
Hate raids. They hate raids. They hate dungeons.
They hate themselves, truly.
They hate anything that deals with any type of like extra effort that they got to put in. I'm talking, they don't like any content that's too mechanic heavy. They don't like any content where the difficulty is too hard with the enemies, deltas and stuff.
Filthy casuals. They don't want any challenge in the game. And that's coming from me, the 1%er of 1%ers.
Like any of that. They want the game to be as easy as possible. I heard people praising the new exotic mission with the new Iron Banner X, whatever exotic. I heard casuals praising that mission, saying, "Good job, Bungie." It was short and sweet. It wasn't mechanic heavy. I was able to just sit back and play it and not have to worry about anything.
To be fair, on the hierarchy of challenging endgame content, exotic missions are not meant to be like up there with like contest raids or even contest epic raids now that we have this new category, right? It's meant to be like contest and then like the challenging version of raids, like raids with feats now, I guess, and then just like regular raids. And then from there, probably dungeons. And then beneath dungeons, I guess, exotic missions. Maybe some portal activities. But yeah, exotic missions, they're up there, right? They're not meant to be the most challenging in terms of mechanics, generally speaking.
And then I heard somebody say they have fun playing it with their brother or whatever. It took them an hour and 30 minutes to beat that exotic quest. I'm not trying to sound elitist or anything.
Oh, you're the 1%er now. You just upgraded.
But ain't no damn way it took you an hour and 30 minutes to beat that easy ass quest. Ain't no way. That quest was basically a strike. That wasn't an exotic quest. That was a strike. Okay? There was
this guy's hilarious. I love this guy.
No mechanic to figure out. It was just you going through a strike. That was our Edge of Fate strike right there. That was our Edge of Fate strike. I don't know what took so long for
the one strike that we got. That was the exotic mission.
To work on it. That was what you would give us at the beginning of Edge of Fate as an extra strike in the game. That's what you would give us. That was not an exotic mission, okay? Compared to the other ones we've been getting in the recent days, in the recent years or whatever. That's not an exotic mission. That is a strike, okay?
Even the captions there doing him dirty. That was not a Z mission. What?
A PvE Nightfall strike. But
so needless to say, he was unhappy about the exotic mission being very casual in terms of mechanics, and there's nothing wrong with having that opinion. It's okay if you want exotic missions to be maybe a little bit more difficult, or maybe there to be even a more difficult modifier on in that maybe gives you better loot or something. This is something that could be heard by Bungie, and they could add feedback. The only problem is that if we start adding, contest mode exotic missions, the casuals on Reddit will be upset maybe, and we're gonna have to deal with balancing that with everything else that there's already going on in the game, which I'm not against. I'm not against there being contest mode exotic missions. You can hate me if you don't like that, but I like challenge in the game, and as long as it doesn't take away from others, like if we don't have to like lock the normal mode away from the others, then I don't mind there being some challenge and things like that. Because it definitely was, from my perspective and from my team, we just ran through the activity super fast. It was very easy for us. That's in part due to like the sandbox being maybe a bit overtuned. Like weapons and abilities are really, really strong right now, etc. So it was pretty easy to run through. I think most people felt the same way as well.
There are casual players that they want Destiny be that easy, and they are the most, I ain't trying to be disrespectful, but they are the most bitchiest people in the Destiny community. They complain about everything and contradict themselves 24/7. One moment they're saying,
No, it's fine. You can speak about Reddit like that. It's based.
oh my god, there's nothing to do in the game. Oh my god, Grandmasters are so hard. And then when Bungie come out with Edge of Fate and takes away Grandmasters and allow them to be able to customize the missions as whatever they want and make it easy, then they start complaining about, oh my god, I want my Grandmasters back. Huh? And but the same people that are saying the game is boring before Edge of Fate, saying the game boring, we don't want this time gated ish. We hate time gated. So Bungie's like, okay, cool, we're gonna let you do the story all the way through since y'all hate time gated. Then after they did the story in 1 week, then it was like, ain't nothing to do in the game. Well, y'all asked for it to not be time gated.
This is true. Well, a lot of people did ask for time gating to be removed. And to be fair, there should be a period of time with Destiny 2 content where we can do some experimental stuff. We can release the story all at once. We can time gate it, throughout the course of 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 weeks. We can experiment with different content delivery methods. And given the amount of content with the Edge of Fate, I think it would have felt really rough with time gating. So I'm glad, considering the way that narrative was, that they kind of did just give it to us all at once. Although it does feel a bit empty after you kind of chew through that, right? There's not a whole lot going on, narratively speaking.
Now, some can argue, well, they just want content, Alchemist. I get that, but it's the fact is in, stop being wishy-washy. Bungie do time gated so you have something to do each week. But then when y'all ask for time gate to go away, then y'all wondering, dang, what am I supposed to do each week? Then y'all say y'all think Grandmasters are boring. It's the same loop, same strikes and stuff. So Bungie got rid of that formula. And then y'all doubling back saying, I wish I had it back. So the casuals in the community, they want the game to be as easy as possible. And they may try to fool you and say, we don't want just loot giving to us. We just saying, the game don't have to be so hard. That just extra words saying I want the loot given to me.
Calling them out, dude. Calling them out.
Right now, we're in the state of the game where the moment you hit 450, tier 5s just drop for you. Whenever events come around, tier 5s are just given to you. Bungie have watered the game down so much now, it's easy to get your power level up from just playing any activity in the portal. So Bungie
the pendulum has swung the other way now. First it was too hard, now the narratives are shifting to maybe it's too easy to level up now. I don't mind it being too easy to level up. I think that power grinding should be something in the back of our minds. Like, we should just be grinding activities that you like and experimenting with different builds and weapons, and in the process you're leveling and you don't really have to think about it too much. I think that Destiny 2 is a better game when power grinding is not at the forefront.
Cater to the arguments of the casuals and look at the state of the game. The game is dying. The game is dying because there's no challenge in the game at all. There's no chase in the game at all.
That's right. Blame those casuals. I'm kidding, of course. But I think that the game's problems are largely responsible due to the portal and the lack of enthusiasm. And I don't know if I would attribute that to the casuals necessarily, but there's room for people to have a difference of opinion.
Everything is given to you on Winnie Hut Junior level. My bad. Winnie Hut General. We went that far now. This is not Salty Platoon anymore. SpongeBob reference. This is not Salty Platoon anymore. We have come that far. Because Bungie listens to the casuals, the game is in its worst state ever. And if you try to argue, we didn't ask for this. Yes, you did. Bungie made the portal for casuals. Casuals were complaining about the game being hard before Edge of Fate came out. There are still people back then was complaining about it's hard to be the Grandmaster. And trust me, I seen y'all gameplay. I done did Grandmasters with LFG groups. I done did regular strikes and seasonal activities with LFG groups or just random matchmaking. And y'all are the most bodiest of people. Y'all don't understand the game at all. But I'm gonna get to that point. But because
he's calling out the double primary Andes right now. We absolutely love to see it. And to be fair, if there is a civil war between the 1% and the casuals, I say we turn this into a PvP mode, you know? The 1%ers on one side and the casuals on the other side, and we duke it out in an ultimate civil war, you know, a new PvP mode launching soon. That's what Guardian game should be.
y'all complaints, Bungie made the portal. Bungie's like, well, since they don't like fixed modifiers and stuff, let's give them the freedom to basically discern their own modifiers so they can determine how hard they want the game to be. Sounds perfect, right? Try hard gets to be try hard, pick whatever modifiers they want to make it harder, while the casual players, they can choose the easy content and they can go about the day. Everybody win, right? The issue was the casual players wanted tier 5s. that was the issue. The casuals wanted tier 5. They was like, well, I think I deserve a tier 5 too since y'all advertised it. And of course, Bungie bent and kneeled to them and started giving away tier 5s easily. Bungie gotta understand, you gotta pick a side. You gotta pick a side. First off, I believe every game developer should have creative liberty and they should determine what their game should be based off of their decision making. Because everybody in the community not game designers. They don't understand what's good for people. They trying to tell you what's good for them. Okay? So the casual players, they wanted tier 5s, which led to Bungie giving it away, but now they ruined the core system of the game because now there's no loot to actually earn. Because everything's given to you. There's nothing to chase after in in-game content. There's no get my power so I can do this mission so I get the exclusive loot. None of that is in the game. Okay? So I now learned there's a casual group in the game, but they want everything to be easy, which ruined the game. I'm gonna be honest with you. And then you got the casuals that call the other group the 1%ers, which are the people that get to play dungeons and the people that get to play raids and the people that get to play harder in content like Conquest and Grandmaster Nightfall. Because believe it or not, a lot of the casuals, some of them still think Grandmaster was hard before Edge of Fate came out. When
Grandmasters were free before Edge of Fate came out. Grandmasters were hard when they first came out. Does anyone remember doing the Corrupted? When the Corrupted first came out, that shit was diabolical. You'd spend like 40 minutes just to make it to the boss, just for them to launch you off the edge and get literally no loot, sent back to orbit.
Master was like the easiest thing to do. Truly, it was easy to do. So they called the 1%ers the people that can actually play a raid and dungeon. New Flash casuals, they're not hard. Dungeons and raids are not hard unless you do it on contest mode or feats now in the game. It's not hard. You can take any casual into a raid and dungeon and play it. All you have to do is just find a group of people. Socialize. Get your friends and stuff on the game or something. Make friends. Emote as somebody in the open world. Tag up with them. There are plenty of people here that are desperate for friends. Instead of making a group of people that's hating not being able to play the raid and dungeon, how about y'all haters get together and make a group together and play the game together? It's truly that simple. Be more.
I actually do agree that raids and dungeons at their base difficulty are pretty manageable by the average player. The level of like weaponry or like builds you need is pretty chill at the lowest level. Contest is pretty difficult, obviously. Feats on is pretty difficult, but the base level is not too bad. Like, I don't think that as many people, the daunting task of clearing a raid at the base level shouldn't be too bad for even like relatively new players, in my opinion. But I don't know what it's like to be a new player. It could be difficult maybe finding a team and getting in there and dealing with the difficulty of that, but it shouldn't be too bad. At least in my experience doing them, hasn't been too bad.
Social, but also too, a lot of reason why a lot of casuals don't get to play dungeons and raids is because y'all don't want to learn. Y'all don't want to learn. Y'all want to be thrown on ad control the moment y'all get thrown into dungeons and raids.
This is just a whole video. This is a 20-minute video of just calling out these casuals. We're going after them.
Do some mechanics. Step up and say, I want to learn mechanics. And I can bet you money. Any group you join, them like, oh, by all means, join. I'm a person on my clan.
That's right. Step the fuck up, Kyle. Learn some mechanics.
Clan, I'm always doing raid mechanics. Do you know how happy I would be if somebody step up and say, hey, I'll do mechanics this time, Al. You can sit back and do ad control. I will be so ecstatic. I get a chill day for the day. I'll be so ecstatic. But I don't. But that just goes to show, if you're willing to learn, then by all means, but also be good at learning. Don't be one of the people we gotta tell you like 5-6 times you still don't understand. Okay, be good at learning. Don't be a dumbass. Don't be a dumbass. But you got the 1%ers that say tier 5s are meaningless now because everybody get them. So since tier 5s everybody get them, what's the end game loot if everybody can just get every loot in the game? And this goes into trials with the 1%ers. We believe that, because I'll say I'm part of the 1%, because I'm definitely not casual. I can't say I'm in between because I play raid and dungeon stuff, so I'm part of 1%, I guess. Trials was used to be a thing for the try hard in-game content for PvP players, and now you can any casual go in there with PvE gear and lose a match and play dumb and still get all the trials loot.
That's true.
So like, Bungie has made this game casual, and the game been dying because they've been listening to every whining casual in the game. Some may argue, well, Bungie gotta make casual because we're the bigger fan base and yada yada yada. No, Bungie can make the game open for casuals for them to learn and get good at the game, but catering to the casuals has made the game die.
That's actually a valid point to make, I think. So basically make the game so that way casuals have stuff to do, but also there has to be a hierarchy so that way the casuals can learn to get better, or that if people want to play and have a challenge in the game, that challenge is still there. I do think that they get that right to a certain degree, right? Like there's epic raid now, there's contest raids, like there's stuff out there to challenge people, and there's definitely stuff for casual people. Like, I mean, there's a million activities for casual people. The whole portal is for casual people, if we're being honest.
Destiny 1 was booming, did not cater to casuals. Destiny 2, the good moments like Forsaken stuff did not cater to casuals. Okay, you had to solve puzzles and stuff in the Dreaming City and stuff. Last Wish was one of the hardest raids that ever came out during that time. It did not cater to casuals. It had pinnacle weapons during that time. Had a farm competitive and stuff, a Luna Howl and stuff. It had end game loot that you had to get good at the game to get. And it was at their best moments in Destiny history at that moment. Let me tell you what's the issue with Destiny right now. Now that we got them two conflicting sides and I told y'all what's their little perspective in the game. The issue with Destiny right now is community. That's the main issue. You want to know why we didn't have these issues in Destiny 1?
That's an interesting opinion to have. I would say it's the portal and the development of Destiny 2 by Bungie. They have a smaller dev team, and we're experiencing significant decline in the quality of content while still paying a pretty hefty price. But it's okay if he thinks that the community civil war is the main problem happening right now.
And in Forsaken and stuff, because it was two things. Bungie didn't listen to casuals when it came to making the game easier and more bountiful. They listened to casuals when it came to quality of life, but when it came to actually loot and stuff in the game stuff, they did not listen to the casuals because the casuals did not know what they was talking about, and how would they know? That's like asking someone how to improve a business, and you going to the employee that works part-time on how to improve the business instead of going to the employee that's there full-time putting in 12-hour shifts on how to improve the business.
That's an okay analogy, I would say. Going to the employee that's there working 12-hour shifts, playing all the time, versus the part-time person. But I think that alternatively, what you could argue is that you should learn and get feedback from both, right? You want the advice from the 12-hour employee and you want the opinion from the part-time employee, because with both of the advice in tandem, you can make a much more informed decision.
You go to the loyal fans. You go to the people that play the game for hours and know the ins and outs. You do not go to the casual player and ask them what can they add to make the game better. What can they change? Because you're going to get sent astray because they don't know. Okay? So, Destiny lacks community. In Destiny 1, they didn't make the game easier. We had a good function. Everybody in Destiny 1 understood if a content was hard, time to me look up a content creator. And then the content creator will put up a guide that you watch, telling you step by step what to do, what meta weapons to have on and stuff, what class to run and stuff. And then we got good and used what they said to do and we prospered. Okay? That was the system. Bungie didn't make the game easier to cater to the community. The community made videos and came together to make the game beatable. That was the difference. We gotta bring the community back in Destiny. That's the issue. We gotta bring the community back together where we all work together. We don't care about how hard Bungie make content or how grindy it is and stuff for certain things. I'm not saying power grind is a good thing. I done lost the plot with them. I don't understand what's the point of it if everybody getting tier 5s. But we gotta make it that we come together as a community on learning how to beat hard activity and stuff again. Not know, oh, activity hard, let me wind the Bungie, yada yada yada. No, when we had harder content come out, when GMs first came out and it was bullet sponges and hecademics and stuff, people came out with guides on what you can do to beat grandmasters and stuff quick. When it came to back then raids being hard in Destiny 1 and stuff, everybody came together. When Whisper the Worm first came out with the time limit and stuff, we came together as a group, as a community, and figured out. We figured it out on how to make it easier. Even we got to make cheese spot. In Destiny 1, we didn't tell Bungie to nerf the Nightfall difficulty with the bullet sponge and stuff. You know what we did? We went in that mud, we found us some cheese spots. And we was kept behind walls, fighting Nexus balls, kept it under the staircase against the Arch.
Dude, this guy's hilarious.
Priest. We found our way to beat that mission to get our exotic loot. We didn't whine. We came together as a community, and that's what we need.
In Destiny, he says, in Destiny 1, you know what we did? We went in that motherfucking, we found some cheese spots.
That's what we lacking desperately. And I think where that lacks it is because Bungie stopped doing seasonal activities on open world planets. We used to have Escalation Protocol on Mars, where basically you had to do 9-level difficulty bosses and waves of enemies non-stop within a time limit. And Bungie allowed anyone to start the event, and you had to hope people joined the event during that time. They had exclusive weapons and armor. You cannot get it anywhere else, which is in-game loot you have to chase, which is amazing. That made it that every player in the game funneled to Mars. They all funneled to Mars, and they will meet up there, and Bungie will let it that 12 people can be in the same area at once, and everybody was in that mud fighting hordes of enemies and killing bosses together.
Fighting what?
We kind of got that with Neomuna open area, and Altar of Sorrow on the Moon. Only difference is they don't drop exclusive loot for those said events. That's where
he's beckoning back to the days of old, dude, to the Escalation Protocol, going back to the Warmind days. I like it. This guy's an OG for sure.
The Ikelos weapons first originated from, on Mars with Escalation Protocol. And people was there for the cool looking shader, armor, and weapons that are dropping. They will farm that non-stop with the community. You will dance, make friends, send friend requests and stuff. Sometimes y'all will make sure y'all all launch at the same time so y'all all can queue up on Mars, and then you and your whole clan would be there playing the game together, all 12 of y'all in your clan, or 6 of y'all, 7 of y'all, whatever it is. Y'all would be there fighting the bosses together, spamming supers, killing. It was a fun time. We gotta bring community back in Destiny. We gotta stop whining to Bungie when things get hard and stuff. Is it good to critique Bungie? Of course. Just come together, community, when we do it. This whole whining about grinding and all the type of stuff. Yes, we knew grinding had to get better, but then Bungie made the power easier to get. But everybody whining about, I want a tier 5. If you're a casual player, it should have been the best you can get is a tier 2 or tier 3 from you casually playing. Why the tier 5 should have been behind a power level wall. Whether it's grinding to 450 to get it, or I can't do mythic difficulty until I hit 300 power, and then if I can beat this mission, a tier 5 drop. Tier 5 should not be this open and available to the whole player base. It should be some type of loot in the game you can only get through skill. And no, you cannot say raid is
so what he's saying is that basically you would get the best loot in the game, like the adepts, from raids pre-Edge of Fate, and that kind of keeps out some of the more casual players. So what Bungie did was they catered to the casual players, is his argument, by allowing tier 5s to be acquirable in the most desirable loot from just playing portal activities. So just kind of doing these, solo missions, these fire team op missions, pinnacle ops, whatever activity you like. You play that activity a ton, and in doing so, you level up, and then you get the best loot in the game, which basically de-incentivizes going into the raids. Now, obviously, the raids aren't a part of Portal's new system, and we're not updating their loot yet. I mean, presumably in the future we would. So maybe they weren't able to execute that just yet. And so his perception is that, because you can now get the tier 5s from just, I guess, grinding the game, it's kind of made the game more casual, and they're also kind of hand them out the tier 5s pretty easily now. Like, it's not too hard to level up. And so this is the maybe the problem or the main focal point that he has with the balancing issues that Bungie's made with the Edge of Fate.
The skill activity for getting loot. Raid is easy. You can take any random 6 people, and as long as they all watch a guide video, they can beat all the bosses in normal raid. Literally, even epic raid on normal. Once you start adding feats, some of the stuff change if you put on the contest mode. But without contest mode, you can still take a normal group of people, a normal group of casual players, and beat the bosses. Y'all do not have to be pitch perfect min-maxing. Y'all will beat the bosses in 2 phases. If you min-max, y'all will be there in 1 phase. But we got to come back as a community, because right now there's a civil war in the community. You got casual players hating on content creators, and I'm just saying gamers. I ain't gonna call us elitists, just gamers. You got casual players hating on gamers for being good at the game and not being bothered by quote unquote hard content in the game. I say quote unquote because it's not actually hard in our eyes, but you got casual players hating on the gamers that know how to play the game and understand the mechanics in the game, instead of just asking for help and to be like Godfather into clans and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, y'all need to work with us. Work with, if you know us, if you know we better at y'all at the game or something like that, then ask us for tips. Ask us questions and stuff. Don't be hate.
I like where he's bringing it back to like a message of unity, you know? You, the casual players on Reddit, crying, complaining, etc., you know, come to us, watch the videos, watch the guides, and we'll teach you the stuff you need to know so you can do the challenging stuff, which that is a valid opinion to some degree. Like, you know, the game needs to have some aspirational content, needs to have some hard things to do. And if it's too hard for you to do initially, it's not a problem to like learn. You know, you can learn from just experience trying to go in there by yourself or with random people in Fireteam Finder, or you can learn from content creators or various different, there's like a million different ways you can learn. Go on the forums anywhere and learn. And I think there is a level of apprehension where people are like, I want to log into Destiny 2 and I don't want to have to use third-party sites or sources to learn how to play Destiny 2, which is also a valid opinion to have, but it's hard to get to that level of complexity where we're at with Destiny 2 in terms of mechanics and challenging boss fights while explaining everything with like small tooltips in game. So because Destiny 2 is an MMO, it's a very complex game, you're going to have to use like something third party if you really want to do a contest raid. Like there's just no way about it without doing that. You're going to have to use social media. So most people are on social media anyway, so I don't think it should be too big of a ask to say to watch a YouTube video or to look at a Twitter post or something to understand like this weapon does the most damage to this boss, you know? And that's like your goal is to clear the boss anyway. So like you should know this information. You should, or try to find this information, right?
Saying, oh, here go Bungie making more 1% content that no one else will be able to get into. That's a you problem. That's not a Bungie problem. Go find yourself some friends. Go find yourself some friends, bruh. That's why Bungie made dungeons, so you can make so it's less people, and y'all still complain about not being able to play dungeons. At this point, you gotta realize you're playing a live service game. Live service games has always been community focused. Find yourself some friends. You cannot tell me you've been playing Destiny all day and you haven't found friends. Some of my friends are from me purely finding them through Destiny, online, socialize. And yes, I believe Bungie need to make more public events, seasonal activities on public planets so that you can run into random blueberries and stuff to play the game with and send a friend request. In Destiny 1, it was a lot of those, so it was easy to find friends. Dance in the tower and stuff, emote in the tower and stuff. Mingle with somebody. But if you're just playing solo, you can't just expect you to find people. And I feel like the portal get us off the planets. I need Bungie, you need to put it back on these planets so people can run into random people and socialize, doing public events and stuff. They see someone good and they send a friend request and they start doing stuff together. Make these activities more open to play with other people. But yeah, the whole open matchmaking on raids and stuff, I don't think it's gonna work out because people don't want to watch videos. They want to be on ad control. And until casual players step up to the plate and say, I don't want to be using the excuse of being a casual player anymore. I work a job. Everybody work jobs. Even I work a job. That don't mean your skill can be casual. You get good at the game watching videos and guides and stuff to understand the game better. Try to understand the game you're playing more better. Okay? Try to understand it better. And you will get better. But stop piggybacking on you're a casual player, you work a job, that's where you're not good at the game, I don't have time for all this. You do have time. Start working that brain power of yours, that brain meat, okay? Start learning. I'm not trying to blame the state of the game on casual players, but Bungie make most
I'm not trying to blame the state of the game on casual players. You just spent 20 minutes blaming the state of the game on casual players.
their decisions for the casual players. Bungie is just basically doing what they hear the casual players say on Twitter and on Reddit and stuff. The portal was made because of casual players complaining about modifiers being too hard on missions and stuff before freaking Edge of Fate came out. They wanted newcomers to come and make it that the game is easier for y'all. Bungie make most of their decisions off of casual players, not the try-hard players. We're the 1%, remember? So they're not listening to us like that. They're listening to y'all. So if you're a casual player, y'all need to come together instead of stop whining and make sure y'all on the same accord, because a lot of times y'all complain about things.
So I'm saying, tell them.
And then when Bungie make the change, then y'all complain about the change Bungie just made. It's very contradicting. So y'all gotta get it together. But it's a civil war right now in the Destiny community. And that's why the game is all wonky right now. And until Bungie decide who they gonna listen to, whether it's themselves when it comes to creativity or listen to the right side of the community, this game just gonna keep going in the worst direction ever. Okay?
I think they just need to listen to him. My vote goes for him. My vote goes for Alchemist Credo, new Bungie CEO.
Also direction. Okay? So yeah, that's what I noticed in Destiny community. We need more. And then of course, last but not least, Bungie need a bigger team. This is out of mission.
Yeah, I've been saying this. Yes, they need a bigger team. The team got a lot smaller, and the content matches that. It's gonna be a rough future if it continues like this, right?
So they do not have the manpower. The manpower is clearly proving
Valid.
It lacks, and that's why we're getting this half-ass content right now. And until Bungie get like bought out completely by Sony and they get extra workers or something, this is the state of Destiny right now. That is what it is right now. So hopefully Sony give them some more workers, or someone buy them out and give them some more workers. Something gotta change. Anyway, love you guys. Appreciate you guys always. Thanks for joining my Yap session. Until next time, stay up.
There it is. That was Destiny 2 Civil War from Alchemist Credo. And everyone's allowed to have their opinions and thoughts about how we've gotten ourselves in this predicament, rather. And I genuinely point mostly to the portal and to Bungie's developmental problems, more so than the community civil war. But there has been a civil war going on for a long time now within the community that's kind of self-imposed, where there's this perception that there's these people, that they're I would call them like the salty grepos, right? That really want the game to be sweaty and they want a big challenge and stuff. And then there's like the hyper casual player that just wants everything to be super chill, because when they log into Destiny 2, they just want an escape, right? They're just logging into Destiny 2 to shoot some aliens. It's not that big a deal. And the problem is that Bungie does need to cater to both audiences, because they want a wide array of audiences. They want people to play super casually, and they want people to play hyper competitively, like, go for world's first belts and stuff like that. And it is possible to balance the game in a way where you make everyone happy. But of course, the majority of the decisions are going to be made for a more casual audience, because there's just more of them, right? He was even calling them the 1%. If you're talking about selling a game to the 1%, selling a game to 99%, it's a much bigger audience. So naturally, a lot of decisions are going to have to lean that way. But you don't want to neglect the more hardcore people. And you kind of want the casual people to learn the game, like you said, learn the game, understand the mechanics, and play more. Like that is like the general focus for Bungie. They've mentioned this before. A lot of Destiny 2 players, they have a high play session time. So basically, Destiny 2 players on average log in and play more Destiny 2 than they play other games. So like if you look at the play session time of players that play Call of Duty versus players that play Destiny 2, it's significantly higher for Destiny players. When we log in and play Destiny 2, we sink in lots of hours. Call of Duty players, they might log in for a couple hours at most, but it's not nearly as much of a time investment type of game. And so the reason why these hierarchies in content exist, like there's like contest raids, and then there's also just like chill public events, like this activity is just Reclaim, right? Very chill, very easy to get into, is because it's meant to cater to the ability for you to sink your time into. So you start in at the very casual stuff, you level up, you gear up, and you do harder and harder stuff. Now, some people don't appreciate the hard stuff. They don't care for that. They just want the game to stay casual. And that's okay if you have that opinion, but I think that it's good to have a balance, and it's good for Destiny 2 to do some things that you maybe don't like. It's not a game that's catered to just you and everything that you want. Like I'll give you a good example. Like I don't really care much for fashion, like I just throw on whatever armor I got and throw on super black, right? But I'm not saying that I want all fashion to end. I'm not saying I don't want new cosmetics or new, armor sets, of course. So I'm okay with there being lots of time investment and money and development put into cosmetics, even though it doesn't really cater to me and to my very specific and very niche interests, you know? For me, I would personally just have all of our guardians be butt ugly. If that meant we get a few more strikes every year, I would personally be a fan of that. Like genuinely. I'm not advocating for that, and I'm not saying that's what I think will happen by any means, but for me that would make me happy. But I'm okay with Destiny 2 taking a different approach and being a different game than the exact game that I want. But still a cool video though. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. And that's a wrap on this one.